Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. Well, just by way of small information, it was drizzling in Lagos this morning, southwest of the country where we're broadcasting from. However, doesn't mean very much because so many places, other places that we're watched from, it might be as sunny as you know what. So, but my guest this morning is Honorable Adelani Baderinwa. He's a very experienced journalist. He's been chief press secretary. He's also been commissioner for information and strategy in the state of Osun. And right now, in the immediate past administration, he was commissioner for information, and right now he's supervisor of the Ministry of Information and Strategy. You're very welcome, Mr. Baderinwa.
Thank you. Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Now, one of the reasons I was delighted that we'd get an opportunity to speak with you is that we've been, for the past week or so, a little more than that, we've been talking about security up and down. We've been talking about security, and that's a problem. We've been talking about security, and we just thought that we'd sort of zoom in to a place like the state of Osun, where we've heard a lot of stories about all sorts of, as police would put it, dastardly crimes. And the impression, and this is when you then factor in the fact that the governor himself, Governor Aregbesola, Oyetola, also visited the chief of army staff almost about 2 weeks ago, something like that. Visited the chief of army staff, as it were, soliciting assistance from the army. Now, put me right. Let's just start from there. Put me right. Does that point to a very serious state of affairs that should get us all concerned if the governor, beyond the normal things that security people will do anyhow, whether army, whether police, it's part of the keeping the peace. But when the governor now has to do a courtesy call on the chief of army staff, should people be concerned?
Well, Uncle Yori, the stories, many of them that you have heard are not true. And indeed, I'd like to say of a fact that, like it's happening in all other parts of Nigeria, Osun State is not an exception. We have few challenges here, very few challenges, as compared to over-bloated story, hyped story being told around. Let me say of a fact that for whatever anybody may think, the administration of Ogbeni Aregbesola that was gone by was very much aware of what exactly was supposed to be his role as the governor of the state of Osun. And indeed, constitutionally, if you look at it, you will agree with me that the main thing in the constitution that a government is supposed to emphasize is the fact that it must provide adequate security for lives and properties. So, taking charge from that angle, Governor Aregbesola, when he came on board in 2010, went all out to ensure that, because the security in Osun was not what it ought to be before he resumed. So he took it very seriously. And indeed, he took serious steps. Meanwhile, let me quickly put in the fact that current governor, Oyetola, was the chief of staff. So when there is an idea, it is always, discussed, looked at critically, and indeed designed on his table. So there was nothing the right was doing that the left didn't know, as far as that government is concerned. And good enough for us, good enough for the state of Osun. Oyetola became the governor immediately after Aregbesola. Otherwise, like it used to be in most circumstances, you will have had another person that will be groping in the dark and be going about what to do. No, it is not the circumstances in this present situation. So the government of Aregbesola did a lot in terms of security, and we had peace, and we are having peace, and we will continue to have peace because a lot of architecture that will ensure peace, that will ensure tranquility, that will ensure security of lives and properties in the state of Osun had been put in place. I have a ample demonstration to let you know of the fact that we do not have as much challenges as they are trying to put it.
And also, as you were speaking, I just thought most people will probably remember that, I don't know if it's unique, but in the state of Osun, the election results are, is still being challenged. I think you were at the Supreme Court now.
Yes, that's where we are.
Exactly. So this is something we shall return to, but just for fullness of full of disclosure. So the PDP candidate Ademola Adeleke, he's still challenging.
Yes.
And when are you expecting a definitive judgment?
By the grace of God, when the Supreme Court had the case last, they told us that we should expect judgment on July 5th of this year.
Okay.
Just a few days from now. We are expecting that God Almighty will wrought his favor on our candidate and governor.
Okay.
So that the state of Osun will not suffer.
Okay, you put that last bit, but I imagine the other sides are making an identical prayer. Prayer.
Well, it's for a man to pray.
Yes.
It's for you to know that what you are praying for is worth being prayed for. And that is our case. We know of a fact that we won that election. We know of a fact that, put it on any scale, we should win that election. And when the tribunal judgment came the way it came, we were not seriously worried. Fortunately enough, we knew there are still 2 other steps in the judicial ladder that we'll go through before, anybody can say finality has come. But good enough, this Court of Appeal came and indeed put the record very straight.
Okay.
And I believe that it can't get crooked. It can't get crooked any longer.
Okay. Well, so we might be able to return to this, but it's hardly the focus, because in the meantime, governance must continue as all of this is going on.
And it has been on.
And it has been on.
Very seriously.
Is that part of the reason why, whereas you were Honorable Commissioner in the immediate past administration, you are now Supervisor of the Ministry of Information. Is that a device? Why don't we have commissioners yet?
Well, the governor has the unfettered right to decide and determine when he is going to put his commissioners in place. What the Constitution says is a kind of advice that he must have commissioners whom he will be, sending here and there to do 1 or 2 things for him, and indeed to help in the total governance of the state of Osun. But it is not stated that it must be on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, middle, or last day of the administration.
Okay.
It is just that he must have his commissioners in place when it was not stated. But truth of the matter is that, to the best of my knowledge, is the fact that when the governor came in November 27th of November 2018, I know of a fact, relatively, I'll claim closeness to him. He said he would want us to face the general election coming so that we can have the House of Assembly as a good complement to running a good government, and let the people have good governance for their sake. Because the terrible experience of the last 4 years at the federal level isn't the kind of anything anybody in his shoes would want to have. And it was agreed to by party leaders, party men, all the apparatus in the party, and indeed we went for the election.
You got me curious there when you referred to the terrible experience of the past 4 years.
Uncle Yori, you know what I was talking about. Because in real terms, it wasn't a good experience for President Muhammadu Buhari with the kind of hostile National Assembly that he had. And basically, at the local level, if you remember a number of things that had happened in the past, you know that you want to have the House of Assembly on your side. Do not forget, at a time, 5 people had impeached a governor, 8 at another time. You know, the House of Assembly had stood in the way of a particular project which a governor wants to do and all that. So with that kind of experience,
You don't
I
have
think it is very, very important for you
to have people of like mind
yeah,
around
especially not from outside your party. You know, it's easy for you as a party man to see along with your people. More so in our tendency, in our political tendency, one of the key things that they think about before you becoming their candidate is how much do you understand about the politics of progressives. And definitely, no matter what is there, if it comes to the show comes around at a particular point in time, there are people who will talk you into reasoning along with the governor. And that was, why we had to wait until after the election. The election, the presidential and the National Assembly elections were postponed for 2 weeks, if you remember. That added to our time. And when we had the State House of Assembly election, by the grace of God, our party, the APC, which they said, did not win the governorship. We had 23 members out of 26 in the House of Assembly. We won 20. In fact, the one in my state constituency is so funny. At the governorship election, we lost with about 1,000 plus votes. That was what they said to us. But when we went for the House of Assembly election, we won with close to 13,000 votes. And you imagine that somewhere along the line, something is not correct, So basically, it was that, that held the governor, to the best of my understanding, back from immediately putting in place a cabinet. But then, even after that, came all of a sudden the tribunal judgment, which, he felt you won't be making any point by immediately after the tribunal judgment, which was against you, go ahead and start talking about cabinet formation. To a rational person, it doesn't make sense. Therefore, I think he decided to hang on, and that is the reason why he's still hanging on up until now. But I'm very certain, let July 5 go, let us have the decision in our favor, which we are in no doubt we are going to have, because the fact of that case, the law of that case, we have them all in our favor.
Okay. As I said, thank you very much for giving us this overview. In brief, it's a lot more involved, no doubt, and
Sure.
their lordships will sort all of this out in due course. But going back to when the Governor Oyetola, visited the Chief of Army Staff. Let's take a look at that, and from there we'll then come back and we'll begin to talk about it.
Okay.
State Osun used to be very peaceful, used to be known as the most peaceful state, particularly in Nigeria. But we were having some series of armed robbery, kidnapping coming up. And I believe that there's a need for us to have a joint effort among the security agencies particularly.
We know the impact of insecurity across the country. What the insurgents or the criminals, the bandits, especially the terrorism that we're experiencing, is for them to win the populace, to win the people on their sides. And if we sit aloof and then we just remain and be confronting the war fighting efforts, we may end up not achieving the desired results. So we need to move closer to the people.
Okay then, so a short clip there of when the governor visited, that I think it goes back to about 11
about 2 weeks ago.
Yes, something like that. So that he went, I have read of you speaking in the press saying that the situation was exaggerated by possibly
Quite.
opposition or things
Seriously.
like that. But it must have been very serious for the governor to consider, you know, this particular move, where he did say that he did need cooperation from, that is, the state of Osun did need cooperation.
Thank you, Uncle Yori. The truth of the matter, the way it is just a proactive step. Do not forget, and I will continue to make reference.
The governor, you see, sorry, sir. One of the things that is confusing to me a bit is that one of the things that is confusing to me is that, first of all, it was said that there was a dire security situation in the state of Osun.
In the country.
Well, in the country, of course, not excluding the state of Osun. Okay, I
But
get that.
the one in the state
But then
of Osun
subsequently, you were to release a statement sort of clarifying that, wait, things are being exaggerated.
yes.
But the governor himself spoke.
No, what he said was he wanted a situation where all concerned in the security management of the state of Osun will be on the same page. So what the governor did was a proactive measure.
I see.
And not necessarily a
panic
or
measure.
cry out measure, like it was reported wrongly in some of the media houses. I'd like to say that that would not be the first time he is taking proactive, step in resolving a particular matter or ensuring a particular project, comes on board. I like to refer to when he came immediately. As a former chief of staff, who was part and parcel of a very successful administration, like it or leave it, basically what he did first was to face Abuja. And he sat in Abuja for 2 weeks, meeting different head of agencies. He knew where exactly they finished in the last administration, and he knew the next step to take. That is part of how lucky the state of Osun is. Because, like I said earlier on, if it were to have been a new person, he would be groping in the dark. He wouldn't know what exactly he wants to do. And must tell you, from the little that I have come to know and realize about governance, I must let you know that you just have to have that preliminary experience. It helps a lot. You could get distracted, you could get disturbed, and you may never get your way.
But all of this is not to say that there is not a crime problem
I'm coming
in
to
the
that,
state of
please.
Osun.
Uncle Yori, I'm coming to that. But I just want to emphasize the fact that the governor took a proactive step in doing that. Because
in visiting the chief of army staff.
When Samfara
among other security agencies,
yes,
you have been keen
no,
to
I'll come to the fact that it was not just the chief of army staff he visited that particular day, but because it was not announced, it was not, and part of, our security strategy is not for us to announce what we are doing about security to people. The only one that are physical are what people know. For instance, let me say this on national television today. Not many states is having what we have in terms of security architecture. For instance, we have a how do I call it now? A center, a call center, that is serving mainly for security purpose. We contacted the necessary authorities. We were given a short code, and I think after Lagos, it's only Osun that is having it, for the purpose of security management. We have what many people may not think of. We have it in the pipeline. It is, the rules, the regulations guiding its use that has not made us to start using it. We purchased a drone because the Aregbesola of a man that we had as the chief executive at that time was always proactive in thinking. He thinks ahead of issues, and drones were acquired, yet to be used because it has to be cleared in certain, and I want to say that it isn't a toy drone that we are talking about there. is a drone that could
military
travel.
grade or official grade, official grade drone.
Official grade. Let's put it
like that.
So basically, you don't go ahead and start announcing to armed robbers out there, many of whom you do not know, even the ones sitting by you, and start telling them
All your strategies.
your strategies.
So
basically,
I wanted to. What is the most serious kind of crime that you are having to contend with, even if you think you're doing an appreciable job at it? Is it kidnapping? Is it farmer herdsman clashes? Is it ritual? You would know.
we have them far in between. It is not as if it is happening in some other state whereby, it is constant.
Ritual killings?
Those ones are not even constant. I must say that. We've had it, in various forms and in different parts of the state. Few and far between. And I'm saying this on honor and on my integrity of a fact that those things, they do happen, but not in the intense manner that, some people are carrying it. And I'd like to establish this fact. Go and check it out, Uncle Yori. You will not find any of those stories in any reasonable and rational media house.
Okay.
You have them on social media.
So when we read about it in some other papers, you are saying that there might be some case of a bit of bias.
Definitely.
Seems to be what you're saying.
Definitely. Because come to think about it, there was a young man whose story was in between. He had problem with some lands. He bought a car. Some people disputed his having that land and why should he go and buy and all that. And there was a fracas, and in the process, he was killed, unfortunately. And the next thing you will hear was that it was the bandits who came to kill him. It was the herdsmen who came to kill him. They were even confused because I read 2 or 3 different versions of what killed the young man,
So these kind of things go on.
Very often, too often.
But for the citizens of the state of Osun.
That is why the governor is concerned, and every other person working with him. That is why we believe we must let people know that definitely,
it is relatively safe. I think that's the point that you're trying to make.
Well, if you want me to say it, I will say Osun is safe. Because
you take out the word relatively.
Yes, because basically, like I said, and I'm very proud of that, the security architecture, which gave us the first position in Nigeria in 2017.
Okay. In terms of
yes,
a safe place.
Safety and peace,
As measured by crime statistics?
Yes, and in 2018 we retained that position.
Okay.
We read it on the papers.
So where do all those reports come from?
Those ratings, we read them on the papers like every other person.
You were surprised yourself?
Yes, now.
Okay, one moment,
But
please.
we know that we have done quite a lot in order to ensure security of life.
And that results are forthcoming.
Of course.
Positive results are forthcoming.
Yes, now.
Okay, I'm going to continue, but I want to bring in Mr. George, who has called in. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
And good morning to the guest there.
Yes.
Thank you, brother.
Uncle Yori, I'm unable to marry what the guest is saying with what the governor himself was saying in that video clip. In the first place, he talked about cabinet formation and that they were waiting for the State House of Assembly to be well composed before forming a cabinet. That has happened now for many months. So after 3-4 months, you should be able to form a cabinet. I do not see it as a good strategy to be working as a sole administrator. Must form a team. And if you say you are waiting for the court judgment, you are indirectly ceding victory to the other party. Form a cabinet. You can, if you are sure you won the election, with what I saw and the evidence on ground, your party won that election. So why are you waiting for the Supreme Court to give judgment before you form your cabinet? You are indirectly saying that the judgment may not be in your favor. That is the way I see it.
All right.
Secondly, Uncle Yori, on the security issue, I want to say that the governor needs to change his candor. In Lagos here, whenever a new governor comes, those people I would like to describe as opposing criminals, they always want to test the security strength of a new governor. They probably have seen that this man looks like a gentleman. Let us test him and see what he can do. So he must change his conduct to ensure that he acts as the chief security officer of the state in the eye of the criminals. That's the way they can know that he's there to face them.
Okay.
That's my just simple suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr.
Thank you
George.
very much.
Let me, Mr. George's comment, let me go to the very top where he said he had a difficulty matching what the governor said in that video clip at the Chief of Army Staff's office with what you are saying.
The governor said it all. He said he came around to talk to the Chief of Army Staff to ensure a joint effort of all security chieftains so that they will be on the same page when combating crime in the state of Osun. No more.
Okay.
That was all he said. And if you match it with the efforts that had already been taken proactively, even long before he became governor, when he was chief of staff, you discover that the tally is still working on the same path. And definitely, I believe that he has not deviated and he knows what he's doing.
Because he was saying earlier that, you know, he was also pledging everything that the state had to contribute to this effort.
Like it has always been the case.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and
It has
to which
always
the Chief
been
of
the
Army
case.
Staff had
because
said that
when
this is the case to
Aregbesola
him.
came and he was chief of staff, the state bought over 100
over 100
vehicles for the security forces in the state.
Okay.
And there was always a joint patrol team being funded by the state government. Armored tanks were bought. Quite a number of things. Part of, you know, proactive steps that were taken was the call center, which I told you.
Yes.
Which was always, and it's also part of it that, you know, took them to think about honing a drone for the use of the state.
And
those drones can travel 160 kilometers.
Okay. And
you know, I don't want to go into further details.
And this drone is not to be confused with the helicopter. Because
no,
we're talking about
they are
aircraft.
not of that size.
Okay, it's not to be confused with that, which your critics, you know, opposition are also complaining about, but that's a totally different story. Mr. Olusegun in the UK, good morning, and thank you for calling in.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. I want to speak to the commissioner.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you. I want to tell him that the Osun state is not safe. As he said that the state is safe.
Hello, sir. You are calling in from the UK, so help me out a bit. And he's on ground, so help me out a bit.
Excuse me, sir. I'm also on ground. Okay. I'm a native of Osun State. I'm from Ilesha.
Okay.
I just left the country.
Oh, you just left. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Excuse me, sir. Let him travel between. There are many ways the state encourage crimes.
How does it mean?
That's a new one.
There are many ways the state encourage crimes.
Can you explain it, please?
Thank you, sir. I want the commissioner to tell us the situation of road between Ibadan and Ile-Ife to Ilesha.
Okay. You think that's a contributory factor?
If we are not careful and be prayerful, there is no way they didn't encourage kidnappers. They encourage kidnappers.
By the state of the roads?
Or the state of the road. You understand what I'm saying, sir? By the state of the road, of the state. Buying drones or not drones, can that resolve the situation on the ground? Somebody, a local government staff, was killed along
it was the same thing, the same incident that I referred to.
Of recent.
Okay, but
is that blackmailing? Is that a lie?
Okay. It's a lie.
No. Well, actually,
because I just referred to that particular case. I decided not to put.
But he was referring to a local government official.
That was the case I was referring to.
Okay.
I'm not. Look.
But it's okay, sir.
I like the government. Excuse me, Uncle Yori.
Yes, sir.
I like the government of APC. You understand? I can't castigate them. I love the party. You understand what I'm saying, Uncle Yori? But the situation on the ground did not give that type of support. Look at Iwaraja, what is happening there? Look at Efalaye, access to Ijebu-Jesha. What is happening there?
Okay. And
This is
you
not
think the
everybody.
problems in those areas can also be traced to the bad state of the roads in some places?
Excuse me, sir, that is not the plain truth. If the road is good, the motor will move freely. The motor can run. The motor can move.
All right,
Look at Ife. The cradle of Yoruba race. Nobody can travel to Ife from Ibadan.
Okay.
Axis.
Thank you very much, Mr. Olusegun. We're going to take thank you very much. Because of time, thank you very much for calling in. We've got a lot from you. Mr. Adelani will relate to it when we come back from this break. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back, and we're having this conversation with Mr. Adelani Baderinwa, who is supervisor, having been commissioner in the Ministry of Information of the state of Osun. Okay, then. Now, just before we had to go on break, the gentleman called in, Olusegun called in from the UK, and you heard him. He thinks that the poor state of the roads cannot but encourage kidnapping.
Well,
in the state of Osun.
The truth of the matter is this.
And then he asserted that it's not safe, and he said he's speaking as an indigene, even though he's in the UK, which I picked up first. That, wait a minute, the man is on the ground. You all, he said, no, I just came, and his diction shows that he's one of us still.
I will not know which Iwaraja he was talking about.
Okay.
I know Iwaraja to Ilesha, Iwaraja to Ifewara has a very good road. One of the solid ones done during Aregbesola's tenure. I know of a fact too that from Efalaye to Ijebu-Jesha, good road you have there. Because I let the people know of a fact that the total number of roads done by Aregbesola during his tenure cannot be compared to all of the other administrations before him. And that's the truth. You cannot dispute that.
Okay.
So basically, I wouldn't know. It's practically impossible to do everything. But basically, the ones he referred to specifically are good roads. That I know. And I can put them on video and bring here for you to see. From, establishing the shot that this is Iwaraja, and then put the camera on it so that it can be seen very clearly. Okay. And the same thing for the other one which he mentioned.
Sure.
But very seriously
since this
speaking,
is not a conversation about roads.
Yes.
And
I was going to come to that because
it's about security.
Holistically.
And some of the unfortunate crimes that are reported to be happening in the state of Osun, rendering it almost unsafe, all of which you have debunked as exaggerated.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about now.
Uncle Yori, very seriously, the constitution that says ensuring security of lives and property knows what it was saying. It was more than just the meaning it has. Because when there is peace in a community, development is possible. And you prevent a lot of other things. For instance, take crime. Part of the reason why we have low level of crime in the state of Osun, and indeed, just about last week, we were rated as one of the least state with unemployment. Fact, was the fact that Aregbesola came and he did OES, part of which Oyetola was, part of that administration. He did OES. OES took 20,000 people off the street once, and it was done 3 times in the life of his administration. Oyetola had said they should start taking form for OES again. People know that there is that prospect of being off the street and then terrible thinking, there's this saying that a idle hand is the
Yes.
devil's workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
So-
think that you've sorted that aspect of the equation?
That is one.
Taking jobless youths
we
off the
help the
streets.
parents who might be thinking wrongly too. We took the lunch for their children. We
yeah.
took it away.
I hear you, sir.
Home meal.
I don't want this to go to something. It's sounding a bit like when we were campaigning towards.
No, I'm not campaigning. I was
You
only
know.
trying to say of a fact certain things that were done to ensure that peace and security, we have it in the state of Osun, especially with what Mr. Shegun from London said.
Yes.
That was what I was trying to respond to.
I get
and
you.
there is no way you can divorce those things from the fact that it was the cumulative of all those things that make Osun to be pronounced the state with least security problems in 2017,
Well, it's
which
like
it
you're saying
retained
that
in 2018.
Which is another way of saying that in 2017, Osun state of Osun was declared the safest state.
Exactly.
That's the okay. Sheyi is also waiting to contribute to the conversation. Good morning, Sheyi in Osun State.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, please.
I just want to contribute to the program.
We'd like you to. We'd like you to.
Yeah, I stay in Osun. I stay in Oshogbo, Osun State.
Okay.
And then Osun is the most peaceful state in Nigeria because we do go to many states and we know what is happening there. And everybody has their own challenges. And then we know our challenges in Osun, we soon overcome it. Also,
Hello, Sheyi.
from
Sheyi.
Ibadan. Yes, sir.
What would you, sir, describe as some of the challenges affecting the fighting of crime in Osun? You said everybody has their challenges, and you are aware of the challenges Osun has. He's gone off. He's gone off. But,
Well, the London man spoke about
Olusegun.
He spoke about Ibadan to Ife, to Ilesha. First I established it's a very federal road. We cannot do much in terms of all of the routes. We took over some routes from the federal government as a government, and we rehabilitated them. We make them more traceable and pleasurable too. But the fact is that a very senior journalist, in this country, traveled on that road, and he spoke of his experience, whereby he met 13 checkpoints, and then he met patrol, even that of the soldiers. I do not want to be talking about the details of our security architecture in the state of Osun. But I like to say of a fact that what we have on ground is sufficient to contain anything. That was the reason
it's
why.
interesting. Here I am talking with you about security in Osun, thinking that it's poor, and you're saying that, as a matter of fact, in 2017, it was virtually the safest state, going by statistics from the Office of Statistics. Let me bring in Mazi Okoroa for good morning, sir.
Good morning, Sir Yori. Good morning, Ms. Honorable Ades.
Good morning, my brother.
Sir Yori, you see that security now should be youth-oriented. What do you mean by youth-oriented? A situation whereby we come to a new environment, we abandon the youth after politics or after election. It's not the best. So that is why there is room for any government, whether only Osun or anywhere in this country, to create what we call employment opportunity, at least 65%. All those employable people, let them have something in. Like what the Honorable has been saying. Yes, you have a good side, but there are certain security tips you don't talk in the public because of some security strategies. So some things you keep it to yourself. Now, what I want us to do now is this. Not only Osun State in the West, it's just generally in this country. Because we have seen that for farmers to go to farm and produce, go to about food security, there must be proper security in the area. And for the youth to move forward, there must be proper security in the environment. Because where there's no security, going to war, going to education, it will not work. That is why there is need for everybody to be involved in terms of security. So I pray that all the strategies you have just mastered out here, that the state should try to put it into practice. Because what we have a problem in Nigeria, implementation and the monitoring is always our problem in this country. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Thank you very much. Now we were talking about roads, but I didn't want it to become a conversation on
No, I
roads.
just want to-
But you explained the context in which you
Yeah.
were commenting about it, because I was reading the other day that Governor Winke of Rivers also has situations where there were roads that he felt that he knew were federal roads, but the poor state was detrimental to the well-being of his people, and so he said that, look, we got to take it over, we got to do it, even though we don't know when we'll get it back. But we've done it.
Rivers is one of the states that hand very high in this country. Osun is not that lucky.
Okay.
We know our challenges, like the Osogbo man who spoke to us just said, and in trying to find a solution so that our the peace in our state will not be, turned into pieces, we find a solution. We put security men on that road heavily.
Okay.
We ensure that it is patrolled.
But by this joint patrol that you're
Yeah,
talking about?
even we have our armor personnel carrier that are strategically, placed on it, bought by the state government. And I must say that we've been having results.
Okay.
Until when this, loudmouths came and they started crying wolf, where none exists.
You're talking about your critics, your political critics. Okay. But Yakub in Dokwemu, good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Security. And good morning to Honorable.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, Security, for me, this is the time for our legislation to be able to make a law whereby this state police that we have been crying for, and then to make sure that it comes to play. Why? Because the state in this country, governor as a person can be able to know how to govern the state or how to secure the state. If there is a law in place, empower them to be able to access to the CP of the state, to be able to control the security apparatus of the various states. Yes, there are opinion or argument that how are we going to fund in it? But for me, we have to take two things here. Do we really want to police our environment? And then we'll be complaining that the funding is not there, or we should leave it the way it is, and then the security architecture of this country is deteriorating. Somebody called earlier and mentioned about the road. Not only if to Ibadan road, come to Ogun State here as well. Lagos to Ogun State is also poor. Every state or every road in this country, some of the parts of the state, the road of the federal road is so poor. But what really happens is that sometimes when you are complaining about all these roads, the various governors of those states, they will be telling you that it is a federal government road. I think I'm of opinion. I may be wrong, I may be right. Even if it is a federal road, and then this road fall into a state, they should be able to do it and then know how to claim their money back in order for us to be moving freely. If there's no deteriorating road, people will be moving freely. There's no any boundaries or armament that are harassing people on the road.
Yakub,
Yes.
Mr. Baderinwa has said that resources available to states will differ from state to state.
That is where I'm of opinion that the money that they are paying to the federal state, it is little. The federal government should be able to pay more money to the state in order for them not to be complaining to ordinary citizens of federal state that they don't have money to construct the road. Because now it was complained that the little money they have, it is not enough to fix all those roads. Yes, there's no doubt about it. Let's make a law whereby every state will be generating money and then pay tax for the federal government. We need to amend our constitution. We cannot continue like this. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you very much for calling in, Yakub. So if I were to decide that, look, I can be anywhere, I can live anywhere in the country because I'm in Nigeria. So if I'm considering that, I think I want to move to the state of Osun, is that a good idea?
Very good.
Oh, okay. Because
Listen
one of the most important thing that one would consider would be the state of security in that state.
And is in good shape. I can tell you that without missing words. I want to say of a fact that it isn't just that the states were not interested in fixing federal roads. In the state of Osun, for instance, we are fixing because work is still ongoing, Bongon Junction to Osogbo. Considerably, a lot of work has been done on it. The same thing, Osogbo to Kwara State boundary. You know, we are fixing that road, and we're not just fixing those two roads, we are dualizing them, you know, so that people will know that actually we want smooth transportation,
Okay,
we want ease of living, and all of those things attached to that, to having a good road in a state.
Even where roads are under par, you are saying that we're not just leaving it simply because of a lack of resources.
Of course, but the sad thing is that talking about recovering your money, what we have to recover from the federal government as of today in the state of Osun is in billions. I know that it was part of what the governor went to sit in Abuja for 2 weeks. I believe, because when he came back, one of the things I, extracted from him was the fact that yes, he was in the Ministry of Finance to discuss all of those things and all that.
Let me put on Mr. Oyekunle calling in from Ilorin. Good morning.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you very much for calling in, sir.
Good morning, the visitor.
Good morning, Mr. Baderinwa.
Uncle Yori, you see, at times when you bring politicians on programs, I don't think this is an avenue for your visitor to be defending the fact on the ground. Like the man from UK just spoke. He has said exactly what he saw. And I don't see the reason why you should be defending it. It's not true. It's not true. The situation of the road, everybody knew contribute to this issue of kidnappers. Because if you notice, the kidnapper normally do their action at the point where the road is not good. The Waraja road the man mentioned is an eyesore. It's an eyesore.
Okay.
And okay. Uncle Yori, when you bring politicians.
No. Don't worry about politicians. You've made your point. We will bring politicians and non-politicians. But the point you are making is that you agree with Olusegun, who called in from the UK.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Well, I like to say again a fact.
He
am
must be speaking from knowledge.
No, I am going to do a recording of Iwaraja Road.
Okay, to put it to rest once and for all.
Yeah.
But you are saying it's not as bad as critics are making out.
Beyond that, I like to say of a fact that in Osun, since the brouhaha started, what we have had cannot be more than 6 incidents put together.
From the time of Governor Oyetola, or going back to Governor Aregbesola?
Let us say from Oyetola.
Okay.
But the totality of it that I can remember, and that includes the man that was abducted here in Lagos,
and then
was rescued in Osun, and not just rescued. Some of the people who abducted him were arrested. They were apprehended. You will agree with me that is a place where security men are working, because the motivation is there, because everything that has to be put into ensuring security, except those things that are beyond our reach,
financial reach.
There's nothing that we are supposed to do. Do not forget, I said the state government under Aregbesola bought vehicles for the security agencies, 125. Somebody was talking about the state police. I like to say of a fact that if all of the resources put into putting the security architecture in Osun to federal agencies, if he puts it in forming a state police, it will have gone a long way. And it will have been in funding up until now. And it will have been expanding, becoming more efficient, becoming more effective. So basically, I think what people should realize is the fact that even when we are saying that we were, accorded the first position in maintenance of security, it is not as if nothing happened.
I just saw the police. There were pictures there of the police. So the commissioner of police is totally on board. You guys are happy with each other because
2 or 3 days ago, she issued a press statement, telling the whole world that Osun is safe. And I know of a fact that part of the proactive step which the governor has been taking
Okay,
is
that's
to
the
ensure,
Commissioner of
yeah,
Police
that's
in
a,
Osun State.
you know, is the fact that they have been doing everything humanly possible to ensure that, yes, the spillover effect of those things do not go beyond what
So
can be contained
it looks like
in the
there's a
state
joint
of Osun.
effort now. The chief, the army,
Yes, yes.
the police.
Yes.
How about the other forces?
Oh, the SAS that we were using for patrol since Aregbesola's days is still on. They are still there. The SAS, is a kind of what you have here as RRS.
Okay, Rapid Response Squad.
Yeah.
SAS is what? Okay, it's Osun's answer to RRS.
Now, what we have there is the police, the civil defense,
Maybe
the,
SAS, maybe Special Anti-Robbery Squad.
Special Anti-Robbery Squad.
I just guessed.
No, that is what it is. So basically, you have all of those forces in it. At times, military will join them.
This joint venture,
yes.
Is that what is called the SAS?
Yes.
Okay.
So, but they were not meant for robbery alone. They do quash any security threats.
At least you don't have problems of farmers, herdsmen.
Oh, that was a beautiful one you brought up, because part of the proactive, nature of Aregbesola and Oyetola is what that is all about. In 2012, there wasn't much noise about the farmers' headmen problem. Aregbesola, proactively thought something like that may happen in future, and therefore he constituted a committee headed by one of his lieutenants, who were always meeting. A committee consisting of Yorubas, farmers, herdsmen, Fulani, and they were meeting regularly. And for the whole of the time that those things, the malady was on, it was only one incident that was recorded in Osun. Only one. And in that score, we were given the best again. And up until now, that committee still sits, still works.
Things are pretty stable. There's no,
you
don't have clashes between farmers and herdsmen,
no.
to mention. Okay, Omowaye is calling in from Oshogbo. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, Uncle Yori, good morning.
Thank you very much for calling.
Adelani Baderinwa, good morning.
Good morning.
Well, I called in to to correct the impression created by the man that called in from London, and the man that also called in from Ilorin. As I speak to you, FEMA has commenced full rehabilitation of Oshogbo, of Ibadan, Ife Road. And when Governor Yetola came in, he approached the Federal Ministry of Works and FEMA on the need for them to rehabilitate that road. So immediately this incident of kidnap occurred, FEMA moved to that road. So as I speak to you, from Ibadan to Ikire, and the word to me that people were kidnapped some weeks back has been completely rehabilitated. And as I speak to you, the portion from Ife to Bogon is being worked on. So the man that said the road is unpassable is not saying the truth. And I appreciate what Adelani Baderinwa said, that he is going to bring the video, the clips of the state of that road now. It is unfortunate that we have been blackmailed so well in Osun about the situation of that road. But the state government and the federal government are on top of the situation. And as I speak to you,
sorry, sir, would you be a government official yourself?
Yes, I'm the supervisor for works for state of Osun government.
Okay.
So I'm speaking with the full authority of what I know. So as I speak to you now, FEMA is on that road. So
that's the Federal Emergency Management Agency or something like that.
Agency.
FEMA is Federal Road Maintenance Agency.
Federal Road Maintenance, I beg your pardon.
Agency. And the federal government is also working so well on the reconstruction of that road. And apart from that, we have also commenced the full rehabilitation. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Apart from that, from Bogon to Osogbo has been patched, rehabilitated, and the contractors have moved fully back to site.
Okay.
They've been given money, so they have moved fully back to site. So we should not come on national TV to give give information that we do not have or information that is not true.
All right,
the man that is in London is reading what migrants are sending about on WhatsApp.
Okay, exactly.
It's unfortunate some people were kidnapped, but we thank God that things have changed.
Oh dear.
We have deployed technology. We have interacted with a lot of people on the way to cope the menace on that road.
All right.
Thank you so much, Uncle Yori.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Omowaye calling in from Oshogo.
Talking about IP.
Because we've run out of time, so please make it a micro brief.
Yes, talking about IP, you recollect that some videos were sent online onto some platforms.
Yes.
I like to say of a fact where they are claiming that Boko Haram has reached Ikire.
Yes.
And that they are already operating there. It's a fallacy.
Nothing like that.
Nothing
like that.
Absolutely.
Well, Mr. Adelani Baderinwa, you're honorable because you already were a commissioner, but I don't know how to quite say, but you're supervisor, Ministry of Information, State of Osun, and we have just heard from Mr. Mawaye, who is your colleague, I believe.
Yes.
In the works department. Thank you very much for coming on.
My pleasure.
We've heard your perspective on the state of security in the state of Osun, and you're saying that it's safe. If
very
anybody
safe.
wanted to
Osun is very safe.
Security is not going to prey unduly on their mind.
No.
I want to thank you very much,
My pleasure, sir.
Baderinwa, for coming on. Okay, so that's our program. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.